Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another episode of SCUM. This is the podcast where we delve into the deepest, darkest, murkiest waters with our guests. Legendary guests, by the way. And speaking of legends, I am your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Rex Ruger. That's triple X Rex, spelling it with 3 because I am dirty. You might also know me as the hair metal high priest, the king of sleaze, the man with the golden voice and the silk tongue, the hardest working man in show business, but most importantly, you know me as Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. That's right. Take a look at me. It is undeniable, is it not? Oh, if only Dave could see me. Wait a minute. Let me see me. Coming to you as always here from the Den of Sin. And if you want the locks that rock, use the product that gets your hair looking beautiful. This is why you can tell that I'm David Lee Roth Jr. Look at me. I am obviously the son of glam, the front man for the band. Just smoked a few grams, got a million fans, always going out with a bang. Mr. Wham Bam, thank you, ma'am. Wop bop doo bop wop bam bam shazam. Hot damn. Whew, I'm feeling good. And of course, this is the No Frills podcast. You don't get hoopla, you don't get glitz, you don't get frills because Rex Ruger's here to give you thrills. That's right. I'm getting too old to give you guys a big old fucking to-do. You know? I mean, I get right down to it. You know? That's what people want. You want to hear from the guests. So that's why you don't get cute little intro songs and dancing animation and boom, 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 shit all over the screen. I don't do that. I let you see the whole process. You know, I'm not the equivalent of the Motley Crue of podcasts. I'm not using no backing tracks. There's no cuteness here. There's no glib. I'm not cheating. There's no editing. There's no scripting. This is all spontaneous. Just the way my daddy-o, David Lee Roth Senior, would like it. Wop, bop, doo, bop, wop, bang, bang. Hoo-ha, hee-ha, hoo-ha-ha. Yow! Woo! All right, now that I got that out of my system, maybe now we can get down to a guest, because I'm feeling good today. This guest has got me feeling, you know, fun. And it also happens to be part of the band name, Fun. And there's today's hint for the day. And boy, let me tell you, it's getting harder and harder to be the hardest working man in show business, fronting all these glam and sleaze metal bands, which is why I would really like to put all my eggs in one basket and focus solely on my new passion project, Love Sword. And again, if you're out there and you're looking to be in a band and you're looking to stare at the backside of the greatest front man to ever do it, hit me up down in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to, give you a little tryout, so to speak. See if you got the chops to keep up with the man. But I don't know. Remains to be seen. But anyway, we got a great guest for you today who wants in right now. So let's let him in. Man, I'm excited about this one, man. I'm ready to have a good time. Whew. Man. Frank, how are you, buddy?
How you doing, dude? You're good.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. You got a strong beard game there, my friend. I like that. You look like you've been cultivating that thing for a while.
It gets heavily groomed.
It's heavily groomed. Well, I mean, you can tell I'm not heavily groomed, but I mean, you can't really groom your hair when you're the son of David Lee Roth. You have an obligation to the fans. I have an obligation to the fans. You know, I mean, don't worry. The hard science is going to come in on that very soon. I'm pretty sure. Listen, I want to say it right. Frank Benbini. I just like saying that. Benbini. Very Italian. Very Italian. Very Italian. I also like the Uncle Frank thing. And now, who gave you that moniker? Of course, we're talking to Frank Benbini of the Fun Lovin Criminals, drummer extraordinaire. Why are you Uncle Frank? Are you actually an uncle?
Yes, I am an uncle.
I bet you're the fun uncle, right?
I'm the one that gets the kids into trouble. Yeah.
Fun Uncle Frank.
Back in the Harley Davidson and take them for a zip round the block. Yeah, that's
nice.
Me.
Nice.
It was the now guitarist in Fun Lovin Criminals, Naim Cortazzi, who who kind of, him and a guy, it's very Italian mafioso. We used to have a barbershop. We still got a barbershop in my home.
Yeah.
And there's a guy there called Roberto, who's from Italian and Irish descent. You can try Italian, Irish, and English in my family. So it was kind of like a nickname. You know, you go, we need a haircut. Yeah, go and see the big uncle. He'll sort you out. So when I used to barber, the kind of name grew from there. And then when we started a band 20 years ago, our hometown Leicester band, and we called it Uncle Frank. So since then, it's just stuck, man. You know what I mean?
It fits. It fits. You look like the fun uncle. You look like the fun uncle. So you did just mention that there is a new member of the band. What exactly can you tell the audience? Because you know, it has been Huey there for so long. First of all, is there any animosity? Did things end pretty amicably with Huey?
It's been coming, Mark. It's been coming for a while. He's just not been particularly happy in doing that kind of rock and roll work and schedule. And the last time we spoke, he didn't really have any love for the band or continuing working with me and Fast being the founding member of the band 30 years ago now. So like we say, we wish him the best, whatever he wants to do, but we're just concentrating on moving forward and carrying on playing wealth of music that I've been part of for 2 decades now, and Fast has been part of for 3 decades because he founded the. But yeah, you know, we're not really. It's been so like busy trying to get this together, seeing that we could move it forward. You know, Fast moving over to being the lead vocalist, that not really had a lot of time, I suppose, really, to reflect on it. We've just been knee deep in working up the set, working up different songs we've not had the opportunity to play for years. So I'm not really giving it that much thought, Mark, to be honest with you. I mean, I know the diehard fans, we let them go in between themselves on some of the social media platforms. But the long and short of it is, my friend, is you had somebody that didn't want to do it anymore, and you got 2 people that love the music, love what we do, love the fans, and they're the 2 that are moving forward. And that's really the best I can say without throwing shit around. You know what I mean?
Right. So now playing, playing drums and playing behind Fast, how have you seen his transition, and what do you think of his transition from sliding over to now being, the front man?
Well, you see, I mean, it's extremely, to be honest, bro. I mean, it's hard enough being a front man, just standing up with nothing to do, apart from be a front man. Fast, it's punishment, I think, because he's always been this multi-instrumentalist. I mean, the guy's up there playing live E-bass, keyboards, mouth organ,
you name it, he plays it. Yeah,
exactly. And now doing lead vocals. I mean, I think when it first happened, I believe we caught the fans off guard a little bit, because I said the only way that this is going to work is because as much as I could say about Huey and mood swings and him not wanting to play ball anymore or what have you, with that all said and done, Huey's a great frontman.
Yes. I think everybody would agree on that.
A great guitar player on his day, and all the above. So it'd be pretty hard, I thought, to replace. You can't really replace him. So my intention was, okay, well, let's not replace him. Let's just move you over. So you be the lead singer. He was like, well, you be the lead singer. I said, I've got enough to do being the drummer. You're up front. You do it. You know what I mean? And so he says, all right, let's try it. So we went in the rehearsal rooms and we tried it. And it just started happening. Yes, he's had to knuckle down. It's a lot of work, Mark. For him. He's done it. And, I suppose our first true test was as playing on the Isle of Man Island that does the famous bike racing, the TT races. And they had a big festival in the Isle of Man. And that was our first booking with this new lineup. And, when we come off stage, and I looked at him and I was like, well, we can definitely do this shit, you know what I mean? Because the crowd loved it. And the funny thing is, you've got you've got a guy who's got just as thick, if not thicker, New York lower register.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He did. So the funny thing is, it really doesn't sound that much different at all.
I agree.
What there is there now is a lot more energy, because obviously Fast loves doing it.
The hearts thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we just recently put up some footage from Poland Rock Festival, which was unbelievable. It's like Poland's Woodstock. You know, I think over the weekend there was 300,000 people there.
Wow.
The night we played, we had about 100,000 kids in front of us. And if you go to our socials, you will see one or two videos that we've just put up over the last few days.
Okay.
Absolutely unbelievable. And it's what's been lovely to see. It's some of the fans that have been dubious, and they have all their right to be. Obviously, there's been a lead singer that's been there for nearly 30 years, and now all of a sudden he's not there. Fast has moved over. There's been negative comments like, it isn't going to be the same, it's not going to sound the same, it's not going to be as good. And then all them people over the last week have gone, oh, it's really good. It's kind of just the same.
Yeah.
It's even better with the energy. And kind of in our hearts, we knew that. But we've got to show that, and we knew that, so it's fine. But yeah, looking at him, you know, why he's not here, I will say to you, pretty proud of him. He's done a great job taking on the lead vocal role.
Yeah.
You know, if he was here now, I wouldn't say that, because I want him to work hard all the time. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to guess.
Well, I guess we could put a little more pressure on him. Maybe put some cymbals on his knees, and you know, maybe an organ grinder on his back or something. I mean, have we given him enough stuff to do? I mean,
halfway through the set, you know, because stack up and make me a nice steak sandwich halfway through the set. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's really multitasking. He's juggling a lot of stuff. Now, now you had mentioned that the shows you did down in the Isle of Man. Do you notice, being from the UK yourself, do you notice and what are the differences that you see in the American versus the European audiences? How, you know, are they more receptive to the music of the Fun Lovin Criminals? Yes? No? What happened? Did I lose you? What happened? Did I lose you there?
Yeah, it all went a bit gobbledygook. Ask me that again.
Oh, that's all
Mark.
right. That's all right. So you'd mentioned the Isle of Man concert that you guys just did. What differences do you notice in the American audiences as opposed to the European audiences as to how they receive the music? Because Fun Lovin Criminals, obviously known as a very eclectic band. You guys fuse a lot of different sounds together. Do the European audiences seem to get it more than the American audiences? Because a lot of the musicians I talk to on here always rave about the European audiences.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. Depending on where you're playing in the state, it can go over a different way, you know. Right. I remember us playing once, and it was somewhere off near like Philly. It wasn't in Philly, it was a way over from Philly. And I remember us playing our first song, and it was kind of like tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
We don't play that black music here.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, you know what I mean? And we got up and walked off stage, and so that's one of the really bad scenarios, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then we've played shows in New York, played shows in LA, and they totally get what we're about. You know, they embrace the fact that we use a lot of styles, and we mix it up in this kind of Fun Lovin Criminal kind of hip hop / blues / rock / Latino. It's all kind of black exploitation, but done in a white Beastie Boys rap. So there's some combinations I could give you, and I think that in Europe, I don't know, like I have in my head, it's like in the 90s, the Fun Lovin Criminals, before I joined, canned a little bit of New York and then exported it to Europe, and Europe took to it like wildfire, you know? Where in America, I don't know if the rest of America take to what New York is about so much. Right. It's a little bit of a harder sell, but saying that, we've got a lot of diehard fans that love Fun Lovin Criminals, and the fact that we're actually going to be able to get back, man, and play there after so long is something that we're very excited about. So yeah, it's but yeah, to answer your question, Europeans like, you know, Ireland, Scotland, bro, you play there to them audiences, and they are way ready to party. They're already partying while you're making your trip up there the day before. They're already ready to jump
right.
And you know, Holland, always had a lot of love in Holland, big time. So yeah, it differs, man. It differs. But one thing I would say, you get the same shows. It doesn't matter if we're playing, you know, in a small club somewhere in America, or we're playing in Poland to 100,000 people. It's the same show, Mark. You know what I mean? So
right.
We just do what we do.
So now with the addition of Mr. Cortazzi there, what has he brought to the band? You worked with him prior to this, though, right? You guys were involved in a project together. What do you think he's brought to the Fun Lovin Criminals? Does he get, you know, is he locked into the concept that you guys do? I mean, has it been a good transition having him in the band?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I've worked with Naeem for over 20 years, and Fasty's worked with him on and off probably around the same time, definitely 10 years, because we did a reggae project, me and Fasty, called Radio Riddler. Took Prince's iconic soundtrack to Purple Rain, and we recorded it with a bunch of famous guest singers, and Naeem was a big part of that, and we've been on the road and played a bunch of shows. So Fast is you know, down with Naeem. I knew what Naeem would bring to the Fun Lovin Criminals is somebody that's super positive, super laid back, great understanding of music when it comes to melodies, when it comes to guitars, knowing when to play. You know, the worst thing about a guitar player is overplaying. It kills it. Not necessary in Fun Lovin Criminals. He has a great understanding of that. Obviously, he's worked with some legends. I mean, he's ex-Happy Mondays. He works a lot with our British soul singer, Beverly Knight. So he's been around the industry on a high level for a long time. So he's was he the unanimous choice? Like, was there ever a doubt that he was going to be that third guy if he was willing to take the job, or did you have other people in mind? For me, he was the guy. Yeah, and when I spoke to Fast as well, it was like, you know, there was one or two other people, but you know, I think that Naeem's gone a long way of earning his button. It's not fully yet.
Earning his button. That's a little mafioso term here for my audience out there. I'm a New York guy. I'm a New York guy too, so I get it. I'm in upstate New York myself, so you know, I get all the mafioso. And now you certainly play with certainly, I don't think anybody could deny this, a certain swing and a certain funkiness to your playing that is absolutely essential to the type of music that you guys do. Where does that come from? Who are the first guys that you looked at as a drummer and said, wow, that's who I want to, you know, you have your own style, but, you know, a guy that you idolized and looked at is somebody, you know, who was like your go-to guy that you'll always listen to and enjoy his playing for drummers?
Two. First and foremost is John Bonham. I grew up with my dad and my mum.
Okay.
Led Zeppelin. Number two, female, Sheila E., just one of the baddest drummers of all time.
Oh, yes. Now you're speaking my language. Prince is my all-time favorite artist. So, I mean, you know, he's my God. He's my God. He really is.
Yeah.
He really is. He really is. If I could actually show you something.
Go.
After he passed away, I was making these murals.
Oh, wow.
See that?
Yeah, man.
Of just pictures. You know, they're just pictures that I cut out. I usually don't get up in the middle of my podcast, but the Prince gets me so excited. Yeah, I got one hanging up downstairs too. I just, you know, after he passed away, they were putting out all these like these magazines with like, you know, in tribute to. So I just started clipping pictures and just, you know, I mean, putting them on poster board and just. He's the first musician I think that ever passed away where I actually had tears in my eyes. He was just such a big part of the soundtrack of my life. You know, I mean, it was really tragic.
You've just made this interview very pleasing for me, because what you're talking to now is probably the greatest and biggest Prince fan in the world.
I love it.
I'll take you around mine.
All right, please do. Yeah, let's see it.
So we've got my boy there.
Oh, that's the that's actually the cover of my favorite album. I love the Parade album. That's my favorite.
Is a big one. It's a big one.
Yeah. Oh man! Wow, beautiful.
And then if I zoom in on this, Mark, I've actually got his autograph on the new Power Generation single "Get Off" and the plectrum that he passed to me himself.
All right, now you're just showing off, Frank. Come on, Uncle Frank is showing off now. Uncle Frank is showing off. I also happen to notice as you were giving the little tour there, I saw a boxing glove hanging back there. Who's the boxer? Are you in the...
I'm a big boxing fan. I've got Nigel Benn's autograph boxing glove.
One of my favorite fighters. You know what, Frank? I think me and you might be kindred spirits. Boxing is my favorite. Boxing is my favorite sport.
Well, here's my other guy who I absolutely love, and I've met him twice, and that is Mr. Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. I mean, he's done so much for boxing through those movies. You know, he belongs in the Boxing Hall of Fame. I'm glad he's in there. A lot of people were, because I live right down the street from the International Boxing Hall of Fame. That's beautiful stuff. It really is.
Yeah, my office is full of memorabilia, rock and roll, and film.
I was just actually there for Hall of Fame weekend a couple of weeks ago, and because they didn't, but because of COVID, they had 3 years worth of people going in because they had to not do the induction ceremonies for a couple of years because of COVID. So a lot of greats up there. I mean, I saw them all. Bernard Hopkins was up there. Roy Jones Jr. Just got a lot of good pictures and got a lot of autographs on the glove or whatever. But so since we are talking boxing, I was just watching the press conference the other day, and I don't know, by the time I get this up, obviously the fight will probably be passed or whatever, but your prediction will still stay preserved. Who wins this big upcoming Chris Eubank Conor Benn fight?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Ben.
Yeah, I would think you would, being as that I see the Nigel Benn stuff up there. He was one of my favorite fighters too, man. But his son looks pretty good. I love that. I love the fact that they're renewing a rivalry that their fathers had, though. That's kind of cool, you know.
It's like Creed. It's like Rocky and then Creed. It's like
it really is. It really is.
I think someone should make films about the Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, the rivalry. I think it'd make a great film as well.
Well, there is a great documentary up on YouTube about when Conor Benn fought Gerald McClellan there. Remember, he ended up really I don't know what happened to him. Something screwy happened to him in the midst of that fight, though, or whatever. And Conor Nigel, I think now later in his career just feels an immense amount of guilt about it. You know, I mean, but it is boxing, though. I mean, it's that kind of shit happens. I mean, but let me go back to the music industry here. Now, all the changes that have happened in the music industry going forward. What will we see the Fun Lovin Criminals do as far as releasing music? Like, how do you guys feel as a band with the way the market has changed? Some people are putting out singles. Some people go the EP route. Some people are going the full-length album. Obviously, there's a ton of platforms out there. How do you guys want to proceed with your career? I mean, in terms of releasing music.
Well, we've always been an album band. We've always been quite like, we're an album band and we don't want to do anything else apart from that. I think I think that's a little bit in the world we live in now, which is so fast. And I'm a fan of EPs, and I'll tell you why. Because I discovered Fun Lovin Criminals. I discovered them through an EP in the UK market. They put Grave and Constant. It was an EP that the record label did, and that's how I found Fun Lovin Criminals. So I've always been that, and we're actually working quite hard at the moment. Been working on it today with Fast. Is a brand new EP. It'll be the first piece of music that we've brought out with with Fast moving over to lead singing.
Okay.
And we've also got an album just sitting in the wings that we need to finish lyrically. And we were just talking on the phone, and we just don't know yet. But I feel like we should drop multiple EPs because it's a short blast of 4 songs, maybe 4 songs with a remix on, maybe 5 songs. And I just think at this day and age, how everyone lives such a fast-paced life.
I agree with you. I've talked to a couple other musicians on here, and the people that are pro EP seem to think that, with the attention span of people, what it is nowadays, which is kind of sad in and of itself that people can't sit down and listen to a full album anymore. But, we are where we are in the world. But the people that are pro EP, and I talked to one musician on here who described it best. Putting out a small batch of well-crafted, tight songs and not having, you know, any shit songs in there is a nice idea. You know, you're giving them a shorter product, but you know that you're giving them 4 or 5 of your best at that moment. You know what I mean? Like of the best that you could put out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then within a short period of time, there'll be another 4 that we've worked up and we're happy with.
Right,
so
right.
Each time you're getting an EP of music which has been worked on to the best it can be worked on in the time span that we've got, then released direct to our fans, and then we can move on to the next one. I mean, doing an album while doing touring and stuff like that, it's a lot. It's a lot of stress, and as we move on in our career now, especially now with the new lineup, we don't want so much stress. All we want to do is play music to the fans, play some different songs that fans haven't heard for a long time, and play in a bunch of places that we've not been able to play in the past. So that's
and if there is gonna be any stress, we keep it all on fast, right? We give him everything to do. Yeah. Now you said you just now you said you discovered the Fun Lovin Criminals through an EP. Now, when you're obviously a fan first. So how do you segue into becoming a member? Was there an audition process when the prior drummer left, or did you already know these guys? Did you make a connection? How did you step into the role?
I befriended them many years ago. I used to play in a band from the UK called Baby Genius. We decided to go and work in a studio in New York called Quad Studios,
where
Elvis Presley recorded back in the day, and a bunch of people. And we chose that studio. When we went there, I asked Fast if he had any good connections for good engineers, and he hooked me up. And then we were in there at the same time they were recording, and there was a day when their drummer didn't turn up for the session, and they asked me to jump on the kit. So we kind of knew each other as friends, and we knew each other musically. They knew what I was about, like my band. They knew I was a fan of their music. And then there was a period where they went to come and do a short run of 5 shows, and their drum tech let the drummer that was then drumming, which was the amazing Mackie Jason, who played for Cro-Mag and
Cro-Mags,
amazing drummer,
legendary hardcore drummer, legendary.
Yeah, and he asked me, he said, "I know you're not a drummer, Frank, but I love how you tune your drums and your vibe. Would you come out and do these 5 shows?" And I said, "Well, I'm not really a tech." He says, "I know, but like, I'll pay you whatever you want. Just come and do it. It'll be great fun." I said, "Okay, I've got nothing on. I'll do that." And I did them 5 shows. And then when the 5th and final show was finished, he was like, "I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. And I've told the lads that they should ask you if you want to do it." And so literally 24 hours later, the guys gave me a call and said, "Do you want to join the band? We love what you do." And I was like, "Okay, let me think about it." And I went back, boom, and it started like that. So it's great because it started through friendship, music, then I joined. And it's
organically. Everything happened very organically. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Now, I don't know if you're still involved in this endeavor, but Make It Nice Records. Do you still have that label?
Yeah, we have Make It Nice.
Is it hard to run a label? That was going to be my question. Is it hard to run a record label in today's music industry? And how do you run a record label and get bands? Because obviously the ultimate goal is for bands to get paid, but it seems like it's very difficult to get any commercial success nowadays. I mean, is it difficult running a record label?
Well, I've got to be hand on my heart. We don't really run a record label. We invented that. To stick our own album on it is what we did, which was a couple of songs. But I mean, the idea of that is, what do you really need a label for nowadays? Unless you're young and super beautiful, and people think they can use you as a cash cow and get long out of you as a young pup, then and if you fall in that other category, then you're best off making your own music, owning your own music, creating your own label, and then yourself a great distribution deal. So if any musicians watching this podcast, that's what I recommend you do. Unless you're the new, I don't know, Taylor Swift, and you've been groomed into a pop world of ultimate management and a lot of money blown on you. But that's very, very, very rare for a true musician. Sure. All they really want is to get their music out to the masses. And the way you do that, get yourself a great distribution label, because they'll get your music out for you. So what is Make It Nice, our record label? It's just us owning our own stuff. And that's really all it is. We've never signed anything else to our label. It's solely just for us to release our independent music. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough. Okay. So now, do you still, I know you have in the past, do you still do a radio show yourself?
Absolutely. I'm on the UK's BBC, BBC, which I'm sure you know, BBC network, BBC Sounds. You can get it on BBC Sounds over in the States. I have a lot of people in the States listen to the show. It's on Sunday nights between UK time 6 and 10 in the evening every Sunday. So I just did one last night. What day is it today? Tuesday. No, I just did one on Sunday night, and yeah, it goes out every Sunday, and it's a great mix of fab music. I remember going on to meeting the manager of the station, and she said, why do you want to be on the show? Well, why do you want to be on the station? And I pretty much said, because you play the most god awful music to the listener. Set that shit straight, you know what I mean? So let me
Uncle Frank is here to save the day. Thank God, the savior. Thank God.
I play all the best. I play a lot of American music. I play a lot of funk, a lot of groove. I play some classics. I play all genres, whether it be.
When you're on the radio doing a show like that, though, I mean, you're obviously, in a roundabout way, you're performing. It's a creative outlet or whatever. But what do you get from it, though? Like aside from being up on the stage and performing, what does being a radio personality give to you? Do you just like being able to just, present music to people and fill people's life with music? Is that really the gist of it?
Yeah, that's the gist, because it definitely ain't the pay. It pays awful. I do it for the love of playing great music to a bunch of people that on that particular station I don't think get played a lot of great music. And when I say great music, Mark, I don't mean your mainstream of what you can get. You can drive through the UK. I don't know what it's like in the States, but in the UK you can drive from town to town and it's the same playlist all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I just think, I said, wouldn't it be refreshing for a home city to have a show that's not playing what's current, playing what's good? Because let's be honest, a lot of the biggest selling music at the minute and a lot of the most current selling music at the minute is some of the shittest music that you're hearing. What you're not hearing is all these amazing musicians that are on sub-level record labels that are just putting out the most amazing music, and they're not in the outlets for people to hear it. So I do that, but I do smidgen in some absolute greats, whether or not that's the Supremes, whether it's James Brown, whether it's Fred Wesley, but all them cats are in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So now that you guys are getting on in your career and as you age or whatever, what is touring like nowadays? Do you guys kind of just do like a few dates and come home? Do you guys have a plan of when you release new music to get out there and like hit it for because I know the dynamic of touring changes as acts get older. Some people don't want to be gone from home as much. They don't want to be sleeping in those caskets in the back of a tour bus. How is it for you guys when you guys play?
Well, over the last few years, we've been doing what's nicknamed in the industry now as gentleman's touring, which is just Friday, Saturday. But that wasn't really our decision. We like to play as many shows as possible, which is what we'll be doing moving forward. When we come over in the States, I don't know if you've seen our dates, but it's 3 weeks of pretty much playing most nights. So, and we've got a UK show that starts up 6 or 7 dates. They're all back to back. So that's going to change. We just want to get out there, Mark, and play as many shows as possible. That's what we want to do moving forward. Yes, it gets, I've got a big birthday coming up next month. So it gets harder as you get older. But, hair dye and makeup, you can still make yourself look young, man.
Now, what's a big birthday for Uncle Frank? What are we turning? 25?
Oh, mate, yes. 25. Yes, my man. Right on the You just
Yeah.
you just found your button. But yeah, it does get grueling, and the traveling can be a bitch. You know, when we just went to Poland and back, it was an extremely car journey, being cooped up in vans and stuff. So it is brutal, but it is what it is. I mean, we want to play shows. We're down to do the work. So hopefully we'll be in a town where people can come and see it soon. You know.
I'm so glad that you opened the books and you know, allowed me entry into the mob. You know, I mean, that's important. You know, I mean, you know, we had to have a sit down. We had to have a sit down and get me straightened out, right? So, you know, being that we both geeked out over Prince, here's the big question here, and obviously nobody will ever do what he did, but is there somebody out there who could possibly be an heir to the throne? I've heard Bruno Mars's name thrown around. You know what I mean? Years ago, we had who I think was a great artist. If you remember, the great Terrence Trent D'Arby.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, could have been on the cusp of being the next Prince, but is there going to be another Prince? You know, an entertainer who just is a real rock star that walks around in a rock star all the time. Because Prince, I felt, was like his rock star 24/7. I remember he was on the Today Show once, and they asked him, if we ever came to your house in the middle of the day and just rang your doorbell, would Prince ever like answer his door just in a pair of sweatpants and a sweatshirt? Absolutely not. He's rock star all the time. I bet you even his pajamas are probably rock star. You know, I mean,
know that. The answer to your question, I believe, is absolutely no.
No.
And I'll tell you what. Because he's multifaceted, like beyond belief. So forget the fact that one, his singing capability, his range off the charts.
Yeah.
Guitar playing, one of the best one of the best of all time. His bass playing, phenomenal. His key work, phenomenal. His drumming, phenomenal. You know, I could go on and on and on.
Dancing, you know, all the dancing, the costumes, the fashion, all of it.
But then all that said and done, the fact that, you know, mastered 21 instruments by the age of 17, like, but all these facts, right? Then we move on to the songwriting, which is just unreal. Like, you know, like unreal. The songs he wrote for others, unreal. You know, then you talk about, then this is the bit that a lot of people don't, that forget about. Then you talk about him as an engineer and as a producer.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God. And then you talk about you know, his mixing capabilities, and then what he did to the record companies, he totally put them on the red. You know what I mean? So you gotta put all that in. And then, as we're finding out now, all the work that he did, where he never went public about all his charity work that he did, which is just like astonishing. Like, you know, he never spoke about it. You know, there's so many other artists that will do stuff for charity, but they'll be right there cutting the ribbon, big smile.
I know. Making sure they're getting credit.
And then, you know, on top of all of that, just absolutely showmanship. There was no one better. There was nobody that did it as good as him. Because, you know, what I used to love about Prince is that you can see it on the Love Sexy footage, you can see it on Purple Rain footage, or you see it when you go and see him live. I mean, I've seen him nearly 50 times live, like unbelievable amount of times. But you can watch him do 30 to 40 minutes of a show, which is just astonishing to watch, before he's even picked an instrument up. And then it goes up another level then. It goes up another level. And it's like, when he was playing at the Dome in London, he just blew the roof off it every night, and then didn't go home like most people, went to an after show party and then played until the sun come up. I mean,
it's pretty amazing. Just the output. I mean, 39 albums in a span of that career. I mean, that's productivity. I had this conversation with somebody, and I remember saying, like, I wish I could feel that creatively inspired all the time, where it's just pouring out of you. And it's not just going through the motions and just putting pen to paper and just putting out crap. I mean, just really inspired creatively and putting out genius level stuff all the time. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And
the fact that he was so ahead of his time. There's albums now that I mean, I've got all the back catalogue. I've got everything, all the stuff that's out now. You know, and some of it, when it first came out, I was like, I don't quite get that. And then
Right.
10 years on, I listen back to it and I'm like,
Me too.
I'm
Me
just
too.
up on it.
Yep.
I'm catching
Yep.
up on that genius level. But
Yep.
it's like I've always said, there's rock stars and the stars, but then there's superstars. Well, there hasn't been that many superstars in the history of music. There's been a lot of stars. There's been a lot of talented people. There's been a lot of rock stars, a lot of jazz stars, a lot of country stars. But there isn't many superstars. Prince was the superstar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a totally different thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I stood kind of like, I stood 2 foot away from him. And I can talk to anybody. And I was going up to talk to him backstage at a festival, and he was with his wife at the time.
Yeah.
Big security guard. And I was just, for me, that's nothing. I'll just, yeah, what's up, man? You're good. You know, I'll talk to anybody.
Right. Me too, usually. Yeah.
Yeah. I got 2 foot against him. I just froze.
Fanboyed out.
One, he smelled amazing. Like, oh my God, he smelled amazing. And then 2, and I shit you not, Mark, he had like a yellowy orange fucking glow coming off.
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Otherworldly. Yeah.
Exaggerate. And I've never seen it before on anybody.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was frozen. I didn't know what to say. And he just looked at me and then looked back away and walked off. And then I seen a security guard about half an hour later. I said, I was wanting to give this to Prince, but I froze. Would you give it to him? Yeah. And it was our version of Purple Rain in a reggae format with megastars on it. Like, you know, Sinead O'Connor. It's the only second time that she's ever performed a Prince song is on this. Ali Campbell, UB40, Citizen Cope. You know, there's a bunch of people on this album that me and Fast did. And 48 hours later, I get a phone call from Prince's lawyer, David Kakakis from Universal in California. And he called me. He says, we just want to know what your intentions are on this record. And I could hear that there's somebody else in the room, which I take it was Prince.
Yeah.
And, you know, we want to know why. We want to know what the other artists on there want and what you're planning on doing. I said, all the other artists, I had them sign something. No one's done any of this for money. They've done it for the love of reggae and for the love of Prince. We've put 100% publishing, all goes to Prince. So actually, we're not making anything. If anything, David, it's cost me money to make this record, but I've done it because I'm the biggest fan in the world. Yeah. And then it's a bit more about me. I told him a couple of stories. I told him how this tooth here is nicknamed the Prince Tooth because I got it knocked out in Newcastle. I got in the bar fight because I walked in this bar and I had the Love Sexy Tour t-shirt on, which you must know it's got semi-naked.
Yeah.
And there was some homophobic dick in this bar who was trying to fun at me.
There always is.
There always is. I told him one and he twatted me straight in the face. I was only a young kid and he knocked my tooth straight out. And I was telling this story to Prince's. Anyway, we get to the end of it. He goes, okay, cool. I'll call you back tomorrow. And he called me back. And I thought, that's it. Because I know that Prince had a team of what he called the Dove Whisperers, that all they did was search the internet.
See where his stuff is. Yep.
Yeah. They pull it down. They were on the payroll to do that.
Yep.
David come back and he said, well, listen, I don't know if you know, but Prince sees every song that he's ever wrote as one of his children. So when someone does a rehash of it or someone does a cover version, he sees it like someone's messing with his kids. That's how it, when he put it like that, I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? He says, but he's going to let this one go. I was like, wow. So we had Prince's blessing to put this out because trust me, if he didn't want it going out, it'd have stopped it like.
It'd be canned. Yeah.
The only person, Mark, that gave us some bullshit, believe it or not, was Warner Brothers, because we used the logo on the front cover, but we cleverly turned one of the B's. We rubbed a bit out, which made an R, and then we mirrored it. And Warner Brothers shut us down for about 7 weeks until we changed 7 points of difference.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Warner Brothers. Well, that was the label that he famously had all the problems with, though, was Warner Brothers. I mean, you know, so he's been, you know, he obviously had a lot of mistrust, you know, for contracts and for, you know, and for record companies and record executives, and he was pretty public about that. And hell, I was ready to change my name to a symbol. just couldn't pick which one. I was stuck on a question mark or maybe the and for stand. I don't know. He picked a pretty cool one. I mean, you know,
He did.
that's pretty cool when you can actually drop. That's actually pretty cool when you can drop a name that you've made lots of money with. I saw him interviewed on Larry King, and Larry King made a great point. He said usually people don't change their name when they've already gotten publicly famous with a name already. You know, that's a big risk, you know what I mean? And especially when you're just using like a symbol that's unpronounceable to people, you know? I mean, that's a big risk in and of itself. And yeah, obviously people still referred to him as Prince, even when he was the symbol or whatever. I don't think a lot of people were walking around calling him the artist formerly known as Prince, which is, you know, I think is what he would have preferred. But I mean, he seemed like he wanted to divorce himself more from the record companies than being Prince, because he did eventually go back to being Prince.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Thank God.
He was super clever. You know, he was always ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Even some of those old songs like Sign of the Times, some of that stuff is very prophetic in terms of some of that stuff that he's talking about happening in society and in the social landscape hadn't even really come to fruition yet. You know, I mean, AIDS and, you know, crack cocaine and some of these things that became big epidemics for us. He was already had his foot in the door and was singing about these.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Pretty incredible.
Very sad that he's no longer with us, but his legacy will always live on forever and ever. So it's, you know, he's good.
Well, let me ask you about some big news over in England, though, being as that you are a boxing fan. Obviously, there's big speculation. Is Tyson Fury going to fight Anthony Joshua? Will he come out of retirement if Joshua beats Usyk?
I think he will. I mean, I saw something today, but I don't know if it's old, but I don't think it is. I just saw something about an hour ago saying that he's coming out. He's coming out. He's coming back to boxing. That's what he said.
These guys, they can't stay retired for more than 5 minutes.
He's too young and he's too good. He's one of the greatest boxers of all time. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a tactician and he's very, very funny.
Yeah, so, he is. Now, I know you weren't a part of the band back when they made the Scooby Snacks video, but you guys have never really robbed any banks, though, correct? There's been no bank robberies as far as the Fun Lovin Criminals are concerned, right?
I can't comment on that, Mark.
Okay. I know. I'm picking up what you're. Now, the other thing that I have to know is your Uncle Frank and Brian is fast. You know, if you're in that band, must you have a cool nickname? You must, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we've not got one yet for Naeem. Oh yes, we have. We do occasionally call Naeem Blue Steel.
Blue Steel.
Yeah, he does a very, very good, sometimes kind of like model face, like Hillary in that film. So sometimes Naeem Blue Steel Cortazzi, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, when Huey left, I mean, you're obviously looking at Rex Ruger here, the #1 frontman in the world. Why was I not tapped? Why was I not tapped as a possible replacement?
I don't know, but what would be great is to see you in a 3-piece suit, because we're always suited and booted. A 3-piece suit, but with that orange hat on would look
But with
great.
the glam hair. Yeah. Because I'm all about the glam and the sleaze metal over here. You know what I mean? But, you know, I could bring that element to you guys. You know, I mean, I think you guys need to be raunchied up a little bit. You know, I got to raunchi the act up a little bit, you know?
I think you're right. I think when we come over and play, you need to get down to one of the shows and we'll try you out in sound check.
I'll audition for you right now. Yes, we bug a lot, and my friends are loud and I'm more funky than Disco 2000. I scream, I yell, I bark, I bite. I hit you with an egg on a hot summer's night. Huh?
Hey,
not bad.
I got to show fast this, man. You know, give him some pointers, bro.
I'll send you a link as soon as your episode is up. Yeah, and you pass that means the world to me. If you show this to Fast and say, look, this is the template that we need to use right here, you know?
Absolutely.
All Fast, he's doing it all wrong. You know what I mean? And I'll be happy to school him in Frontman 101. No problem. You know, I could do it and I could do an online course for him, or, you know, I mean, I could put something in written form for him. You know, I mean, hey, I'm there for you guys. I'm there for you guys.
Send it over. You remind us so much of our old friend in New York, Mike Schnapp. You've got the same kind of Ruben-esque kind of, you know, like you look like you're from the dead.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what. As far as the boxing, you know, we got that in common. We got the Prince thing in common. So, you know, to quote you guys, the great American poets, I feel like there's some karmic G love thing happening here. You know, I do. There is. You know, I think we're kindred spirits here, Frank. Uncle Frank is now my uncle. So in closing, what's next for the Fun Lovin Criminals? The last album we had was Another Mimosa in 2019. So we're due, Frank. Let's not drag our heels here. The people are waiting. When's it coming?
We are so about to drop, and it's absolutely, for me, we've got four songs we want to bring out as an EP, and we're trying to get it out for when we start touring in September in about 4 weeks. And we're doing our best to do that. We're nearly there. Me and Fast just got to go in the studio one more time next Tuesday, and hopefully that'll be done and dusted. We want to release this direct to the fans, so we're not dragging our heels, not putting it through some long-winded record label. We're just going to get it straight out into distribution land and get it out to the fans, because they're 4 absolute awesome old school kind of
love it
smoker Fun Lovin Criminal tunes. So we're very, very much looking forward to dropping that. So we won't be dragging our heels, bro. We'll be getting that EP out as soon as possible.
Awesome. So by the end of the year, you think? By the end of this year? Yeah.
I'm hoping by September. Yeah.
And what else do you got going on musically? Do you have any other side projects or anything going on that we should know about?
No, I mean, Fun
Lovin Criminals is the main focus.
Yeah, Fun Lovin Criminals. I'm blessed to be able to go out and play some shows with the iconic reggae band UB40.
Nice. Yeah.
I occasionally get out and be able to do that, and then we've got the Uncle Frank record that will be coming out some point next year as well. So always got music, but now it's full on Fun Lovin Criminal. We're excited to get out on the tour, and we're hoping anybody that wants to come see us in the States, hopefully you might be able to put our tour dates up, Mark. I don't know, but that'd be amazing. I'm
in upstate New York. The thing that sucks about upstate New York is every time something good comes, it's always coming I'm kind of smack dab in the middle of the state. So a lot of good stuff comes to New York City, which for me is like a 4.5-hour drive. So it's pretty far. You know what I mean? And also to quote you guys, it's hard to sit in a car for a long time because I have hurt my lower lumbar. not driving around in a stolen police car, but I did have a back injury though and had 2 surgeries. So it's got to be something great for me to sit in the car for 4 hours, which you guys certainly fall into that category. But is there any way we could maybe slide a Syracuse date in there or something a little closer to where I am? Let's work on that, Uncle Frank, please.
I'm sure we're playing somewhere upstate New York.
Yeah.
I haven't got the tour dates right in front of me. But yeah, we're in Boston. Are you closer to Boston than you are?
Well, I wish I was. No, I'm right near Syracuse is the closest big city to me.
I don't know. If you go on our website, I'm trying to find them now to tell you, but I'm struggling.
You can touch base. You can touch base with me later or whatever. But listen, I'll make the drive for you, Uncle Frank. I will. I have to. How can I not now that I'm? You open the books. You got me in. I mean,
I got you in, hey, Mama Mia, hey.
Omerta. Frank, it's been a pleasure talking to you, buddy. I appreciate you spending the time with us, and it was a blast talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again and stay in touch. And I think you're stuck with me now. I found another guy that likes boxing, beards, and Prince. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you.
I think I found my blood brother. Yeah. Well, it was great talking to you, Frank. It really was, man. I appreciate the time, man. The best of luck. We're all looking forward to new Fun Lovin Criminal stuff, man. We love you guys, man.
Respect, Mark. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Frank. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Thank you. Talk to you soon, buddy. Bye-bye. What a guy. We love Uncle Frank. That's Frank Benbini. And you heard it here. He just put me into the mob. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. There is no mob. But anyway, that is Frank Benbini, drummer extraordinaire, Mr. Funky Uncle Frank of legendary band Fun Lovin Criminals. Fun Lovin Criminals. They take every genre, throw it in the old crock pot, mix it around, and you get beauty. I love the guy, man. That's Uncle Frank, man. And we love him to death, man. So please, go check out everything that the Fun Lovin Criminals have done. wherever you can find them. Go out and support them. You just heard they got new music coming very soon. Thank you so much, Frank, for joining us here on SCUM. And hope you guys enjoyed that. And we will see you next time on SCUM. Until next time, take it easy and keep it sleazy.